Here we go. I when I first thought about this and tried to think about uh, putting in some um, things to make this work, everything that came up was pregnancy. So we're not talking about that. We're not talking about pregnancy, but we're talking about VBS because it it always happens that something we're not expecting happens. And we're going to think about even little things and big things because, our God is takes care of all of them. And so, come on, there we go. You know, I don't know that there's any year I've done VBS and there hasn't been something uh, not come up because every year's different and you have different people. And so let's get started. If you printed out the tip sheet to the listening sheet, I'm not exactly going exact, but where you'll be able to follow. All right. So things are not going too well. Maybe you're a classroom teacher, a rotation teacher, and the director is not helpful. What are we going to do? There's always leadership challenges. Okay. I you struggle because you might have a new director, um, or you might have one that's done it for years and it just you struggle with it. But we can always figure out that. And if you don't know what you're doing, think about make a list of your questions because getting it done the day before, way before is so much better than, oh, I got to get that answer to this that day or that night whenever you do Bible school. Ask, 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 ask. And this, I'm so proud of you. You're here for training. Attend any and all available training. Even if you've been to those classes before, we all need refreshers. I do. And so attend all you can go to and ask. Ask at training, ask your director, because the only wrong questions are the ones you didn't ask. So I don't know. I mean, I'm here in Vermont, and my VBS is tiny, and I'm the answer person. But in a lot of your bigger churches, your director can't be available, and she's got a team. He or she's got a team of people around you. So ask, who is it? If you have something that's come up that's unexpected, ask who you need to go to. Because if you don't know, then you don't know who to ask. So be ahead of the game to not be thrown by some leadership challenges. Okay. Um, all right. Come on. There we go. All right. An emergency happens. There emergency can be a lot of different things. Somebody gets hurt, somebody gets sick, uh, heaven forbid we have an intruder or you know and we need to know what's the plan. What we've got safety challenges we need to be ready for. We need to be ready for. So not so much in Vermont, but in the South, I know in a lot of different places, extreme weather can affect Bible school. Um, somebody, you know, you could have a fire scare, whether it's a full-blown fire or somebody just pulls the fire alarm, or you need to do a lockdown because of something that happens. So know where where do you secure in place? Where's your safety place? You need to know where your group goes and what's the signals. You need to know the emergency plan. You need to, if somebody gets sick or injured, whether it's a child or an adult. I mean, I've had plenty of adults get hurt in Bible school. Um, you need to know um, who to call if you've got somebody in place. Um, if you just need a first aid kit, where is it? Is there multiple ones? Is there one near you? Um, and who to call for help. Those are all things you need to know if you need it. Oh, this one's scary. Missing. What's the protocol if a child goes missing? Is there a security team that's working? How do you contact them? Do they have walkies? What's the procedures? How do you handle it? The things we need to know because we want to be prepared. The challenges out there today are crazy, and we've got to be prepared. I got this tip this year, and I went, why hadn't I thought of that before? Carry you should have a roster of who's in your classroom. Carry it with you anytime you leave. If you rotate or to go to anywhere, carry it so that you always know and don't lose somebody. Um, all right. This is something we forget we are. Every adult that works at Vacation Bible School in your children's ministry, wherever, is a mandated reporter. And you have to be ready to report if you feel a child is being abused. Whether, I hate to say this, whether it happens at Bible school, because somebody slipped through the background check or something, or anyway, there's just things we got to be prepared for it, and we've got to be ready to follow up on anything that affects a child and their safety. And I hadn't ever had this question either. Can the parents stay? And what's your church's policy? And it is a safety thing to have a parent that's not background checked and all those kinds of things. So that's something your church needs to say, okay, no, we don't allow parents to stay, or yes, we do. It's, and how you handle that. So all of these are safety challenges that you need to be prepared for because something unexpected is going to happen. All right. Here we get to the challenging behaviors. A biter? I don't know. What are you going to do? Okay. Um, uh, so I must say, first of all, do your homework. Um, I know all of Lifeway material has information about the characteristics of the age group you're teaching. There's you need to know about how they learn through with levels of learning and ages, and that's all the same thing actually. And ages of stages about what they can handle about biblical knowledge and what concepts they can learn, because all of that affects, if we try to go over their heads, we're going to have challenging behaviors. So we need to know what age we're working with and what we can expect from that age. and what we know they should be able to do, and work with that. But these are the things that can happen, and it's not all because we don't know them. It's because there are so many issues. I work in the public school, and there's just so many kids that their home life is struggles, and they just do things that we never expect. We never expect biting, kicking, hitting, yelling, crying. They're just looking for acceptance, for attention. It's attention getting. And so we need to know how to deal with it. And so I can't give you everything, but some basics, you need to do breathing techniques, um, have a calm space, a safe space that they can go and calm down. Um, uh, uh, Sorry. I didn't want to miss anything. So maybe part of this issue is that they need their space defined, where, okay, you sit here, and if they're at a table, use some tape and mark, oh, this is your spot, so that nobody's touching them. If they're on the floor, something similar. Uh, in a pinch, you can throw a hula hoop on the ground and have a safe space. Um, so, uh, and that other things maybe possibly is some kind of get them off of that and give them some kind of playful distraction. There's just all kinds of different ways um, to work through that. So we talked about outbursts. What about just defiance? They're just refusing to follow instructions because they never did it that way. Or I'm gonna go. Well, okay. I'm gonna back that one out. But anyway, we need to choose our battles. But I hope you have unchurched kids that come to your Bible school, and they might not understand your expectations. They don't know how we treat a Bible. They don't know how we treat the sanctuary. They don't know those things. And so you need to take that uh and process that with them, about this is how we do some things, so that you're not so that they're not caught off guard. Because you tell them not to do that there, they don't understand, and give them some explanations. But choose your battles. Don't just say no, and say, okay, you can do this or this, and give them uh, two good options, so that they can uh, figure that out. Like, if we do this, then we can do that. And then statements. Um, and remember that um, yes is powerful for kids that maybe get no all the time at home. And so tell them, you know, this is a yes here. You can, and encourage the positive things, so that they're not so defiant and defensive. Okay, we'll move on to hyperactivity. Um, oh, isn't our world hyperactive? So we need to put in brain breaks. We can't just expect them to sit and listen to us for extended periods of time. Uh, Plan for active learning. Kids learn by doing, so plan for that. Um, uh, you may need to change their seating arrangements. You may need to give them a job to do, so that gives them something. But um, from school, I know that you get them up and do some cross body movements, but plan that into your into your learning of the way you do something. So anyway, because if we don't plan something, they're going to find something to do. So, and if it's movement they needed, then they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Um, uh, so before we leave challenging behaviors, I'm going to say some of you know in your church who will come that maybe have challenging behaviors. Um, think think through that. Um, um, and if you've not taught in the kids ministry, and ask to get a list of students if you can beforehand. Uh, get some ideas of how many girls, how many boys. If there's needs, we're going to talk more about special needs or allergies. So I'm saying this especially to directors. I know that Sandy's touching on that. Intake forms, your registration forms are critical to giving people ideas and information so that they can deal with problems before their actual problems. Uh, and one last thing about challenging behaviors, relationship. Those relationships we form make the foundation for a great classroom. So work on relationships it every opportunity you have, because when they learn that you love them, they'll love you, and um, it will change your classroom management skills. All right, let's think about this. You just found out you're going to have a child with autism in your class. How are we, I'm not trained for it, but yet I've had one for years. He's in high school now. Um, and and he's a joy. He's a joy. There are all kinds of special need challenges out there. There's so many different things uh, that could come to your Bible school. And when you think about that, we can't overcrowd our rooms, because if you have a child that is handicapped, then you've got to have maneuvering space. Um, but if you overclutter a room, a child that has sensory issues, there's just so many things. You want it inviting and beautiful, but not overcluttered. So remember that. And this is uh, more information on your intake forms, your registration. How are we going to word our questions on these forms so that we get good information, especially about kids with needs? So these are some examples of questions. Does your child have a specific special need diagnosis? You know, there are so many out there that do these days. So find that out if they have a specific diagnosis. Would your child benefit from having a buddy? Now, if you know this in advance, then you can recruit somebody that is calm, that could be uh, with them. Um, and this question, what are some challenges your child may need help overcoming at VBS? And then here are some examples of those kind of challenges. And that you could even put this, if they, have some potty training issues, if they're ADHD, if they're very sensory to loud noises, allergies. I mean, of course, we always need allergies on there because that can affect all kinds of things. So our forms that we get the information on are critical to uh, not being um, uh, caught off guard. All right, moving on. Your class is twice as big as you expected. Praise God, you know. Um, but uh, we all have class and classroom size challenges. Maybe it's the size of your room that's the problem, or maybe it's just that you've got way too many kids. So, some of us don't have big classrooms. We can't put very many. So we have to know how many's too many for that room. And you've got to work with people that are registering so you know what you've got. If this is possible, a lot of churches are able to do pre-registrations. I don't know about why it is with Vermonters. They don't do anything till last minute. So I don't get hardly any pre-registrations, but I try. Um, but if you can have lists beforehand, even if you have lists from last year that you can say these are possibles in your classroom to just give them some ideas of what you expect. But always prepare for more than you expect, especially for the first day. Always prepare extras. If you find out you're going to have some more, I'm going to say you recruit another volunteer, but you've got to make sure it's somebody that's been background checked. And you just have to follow the rules and make sure that that's part of it. But this is a great idea. You've got enough adults for your ratios, but still you feel a little bit out of. Put them in groups so that they can work as a group to help even manage themselves, and offer some prizes or points or whatever. Have some kind of competition for groups that are positive, quiet, all the different things whatever you can think of, and use that uh, to uh, help manage a large group. So, uh, you know, I would my groups are so small here in Vermont that I've come from Texas actually, and run decent sized Bible schools, and but I was never upset when we had more than we expected. You consider it a blessing. Just be ready for it. Just be ready for it. Okay. You've started your rotations. The class ahead of you is still in crafts, and they're not at the door waiting to leave. You got 5 minutes to at least kill. What do you do with that? So transitions are always difficult, and they can be for kids that are um, with needs, but and a time challenge can even create more things. So be ready for this. How do we take advantage of wait times and use it for teaching, uh, for reviewing? There's ways you can use it. So I did a game seminar, a webinar in classes when we did the twist and turns, and there's lots. I mean, I Spy you can do. Silent copycat is just you've got a leader and you know how to do Simon Says. You can have a mystery bag ready every day with things that um that you pull it out and they have to tell you something about the Bible story from that. Uh, there are a lot of things out there you can do even without prep, like these other games. And maybe, especially if you got a preschool class, um, you know, just go a little further and turn around to come back down and walk like an elephant, to whatever, down the hall. And but you need to know the schedule for sure and the church layout because you don't want to go too far. But uh, so this is the suggestion is walk that schedule. Know where other classes aren't. Just know because you don't want to disturb anybody else and that kind of stuff. But as you do it, pray. Pray for um, the schedule. Pray for your transition times, and pray over your group. Just use that as a prayer walk as you prepare for any transition or time challenges. Oops. All right. There are always other things that we haven't thought of here. And this one came to me. I got this one several years ago. Um, what if something happens and you're called away? I mean, it could be a death in the family. It could be just it could be a lot of different things. Somebody is injured that's close to your family that you need to go prepare for that in advance. Have somebody ready to take your class if you're the leader or to fill in if you're just a helper. Um, I and if you're the director, ooh, have an assistant director that you know and trust. This is a no-brainer. If you have your technology doesn't work, your a game doesn't work, a craft doesn't work, did you test it? Prepare everything beforehand, test everything before class, make sure you're not going to have one of those crazy, oh, this doesn't work things. Um, we could have had that today, Sandy, with this because we had something that wasn't working, but we tested it and found how to fix. Sandy did and how to fix it, and you just have to be prepared. Um, uh, so this is really broad. Prepare for the unexpected. How do I do that? How do I do it? Be flexible. Something always happens that's not in the plan. Do everything you can to cover all these things we've talked about, and maybe some more you'll think of. This isn't who knows what else could happen. You may have something that happened to you. You could share with us in the chat that you never expected that I haven't even touched on. Flexibility and knowing that God's going to get you through it. You just be ready. And I always have to say this when I talk about flexible, that blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. So, here's my information. Sandy's going to give it to you too, but I'm at a very small church plant in a very small town in Vermont called Chelsea, and we are working on our 10th year, and VBS is the thing that keeps drawing kids and families in, and I would never not do it because it is definitely worth it.